Hey StarCrafters, Wookie here, thanks for tuning in. And this is what happens when you Zergling rush Mortious as he learns how to wall off his base. This is me here playing Zerg custom game on Antigua Shipyard versus my buddy Mortious. He's been on the channel a bit recently. We have been doing a lot of twos and getting better, and one of the things we did each night before we got into our twos matches was we would just get into a custom game and I would tell him, alright, I'm going to Zergling rush you. So he knows exactly what I'm doing. This is the first game we did, and we're on Skype, and I told him straight up, I'm going to get Zerglings to your base very quickly. Be prepared. And I didn't give him any other advice. Just wall off your ramp and get units out quickly. So my initial scout with my overlord finds him right away. You can see I did the process of elimination scout, send the overlord to the close one and send the drone on the long run, and that worked out. Oh, production tab isn't open. That pool went down on 8, I promise, and there's 6 Zerglings headed out already. Let's take a look at Mortious's base and see what he is doing. He is halfway through a zealot, goes with his cybernetics core and another pylon, and there's the Zerglings in his base. I hate when this happens. This is the absolute worst thing ever. He pulls the probes, but he's not real used to attacking with probes, so you can see there's a little lack of constant attack because they're the way they auto de-aggro after they attack. So he was yelling at me. He's like, "Why aren't they attacking?" So he was not really used to that. But he's actually doing like a good thing with the spread here. That's I know he did it on accident, but that's something that pros will do to minimize losses, is spread them out so the Zerglings don't get as many kills. But he's not getting his zealot out in time. He's down to 4 or 5 probes. Production tab shows nothing coming for him. He's got just enough money to make another zealot. There it goes, but he's all done. And that is how the first game went. So you can see there, late on the wall in, didn't put this building over there, and it went bad. But let's see what he does in game 2. In the second game, I 8-pooled him again, and here's the Zerglings right here about ready to pop, and they go on their way. Mortious is up here. Now he's done a much better job with his wall and putting the pylon in the wall, but that makes a weak spot in the wall, but he knows I'm coming. He of course absolutely knows that it's going to be a 6-pool. So I've got some time with my Zerglings to work on the buildings. Here come more Zerglings. He went Forge instead of Cybercore. Tries to get a cannon down, but as Zergling rushes are wont to do, can't quite get it. And there's Zerglings depowering. Oh, don't do that. Oh, the probes. I would say the humanity, but they're not human. And that's how game 2 went for Mortious. Still not so good. And well, he had some unpleasant things to say about the Zerg after that game, but learning is learning. Now in game 3, I 8-pool Mortious again, and of course he knows it, so he goes Forge first, gets a cannon up real quick, doesn't even bother trying to do anything remotely normal, and completely shuts down the Zergling rush. However, can he survive into a later game? I totally hit the wrong button. I, of course, go Banelings after he thwarts my Zergling rush. And you can see he's being cute, thinking he's going to go to Void Rays because that was kind of his thing at the time. So here come the Banelings, and I don't have a whole lot of really good targets there, but I managed to do a bit of damage, and I didn't have my Zerglings quite ready for the repush, and they don't even have metabolic boost yet at 8 minutes and 30 seconds into the game, so I kind of dropped the ball on that. But I try to run him through and get into his probe lines and distract him because I want to pull his units and his attention away from his ramp, because I've got another round of Zerglings coming. But he does a pretty good job of cleaning that up, pulling his probes. Cuts his mining time for a while, but now he's got a Void Ray out. And I'm trying to be sneaky over here with another round of Banelings, because I know he's going to replug that gap, and he had some ground units. So have to waste a Baneling there, and what do we got with some pause action? Okay, so that plan is not going to work. So he has done a decent job of holding my my riposte. So let's see what he can do going forward. What he does is end up going Void Rays, which I knew, so I went Hydras, and I'm on one base, just now getting to 2 at 19 minutes and 40 seconds. I kind of did that on purpose. My economy was kind of wrecked, and he just now started to scout. He had warp prism probes out to do this, and he's forced to build a bunch of cannons because he doesn't have a very mobile army. And this game, with me on Hydras and he on one base, just now getting to 2 base Void Rays, drags on for a little while. So at the 29-minute mark, Mortious has made quite a few Void Rays. I have made my little, look at this, oh, look, I didn't ever notice this before. Look at that little heart-shaped creep. Oh, look at, oh, I love you guys. I don't know what this is over here, a little polyp or something, but so I'm expanding a little bit, and he's made some Void Rays, and he's got a cannon wall and some Colossus, and he's kind of hemmed in. He's trying to build here. He's ninja'd one over there, but he doesn't have any probes on him, and I'm gonna Nidus his natural. So this is kind of cool. Let's see what happens. Let's speed it up because it looks cooler in fast motion. Oh, but you know, a little bit of damage, but not game changing. Does force him to try to come in and do some damage in my main, which he is able to do. I mean, that's a decent lot of Void Rays, and they're getting upgrades. And I was thinking, am I gonna lose because I told him my strategy and he built a wall 4 layers deep and had to warp prism probes out of his main? Am I really gonna lose? And the answer is yes. Yes, I'm going to lose. Mothership and Void Rays, and you can see he's already cleaned me out of my main. I'm rebuilding my natural after it being cleaned out. I'm trying to regrow everything here, and a Mothership Void Ray, and those are pretty decently upgraded Void Rays too. He actually got me on the back foot. I don't know why. Oh, he's got probes in there. So he got me on my back foot, and with a 3-layer deep wall, and managed to go Void Ray Mothership on me. I just couldn't build enough Hydras to deal with the Void Rays, and game 3 goes to Mortious. 2-1 Zergling rush. But then in game 4, I straight up 6-pool him. You can see, you know, there's a handful, there's 5 drones, 6-pool. Because I've been 8-pooling or 10-pooling him, I believe. I may have 10-pooled him once, but for the most part they were 8 pools. So I wanted to get the Zerglings to his base as absolutely fast as possible to see what he would do about it, and let's see what he does about it. So this time Mortious has gone Forge first again, and he's got 2 cannons. This is the same thing he did in our last game, and even though I 6-pooled him, I couldn't get there before he had sufficient defense to thwart a Ling rush. You can see I lost most of them on, you know, before I even got to the ramp. But this is something, if you do in an actual game, is really going to hinder your winning, unless your opponent is like me and doesn't really play Zerg and tries to go one base Hydras or something. But you can see in the production tab, I'm going to try Roaches now, and Mortius's response is probably going to be, well, he tries Blinkstalker, Void Ray, and Mass Paranoia. And look at this. He builds a ton of cannons, of course. He did manage to get down here to expand, but he had to warp Prism down again to do it. And I have decided that perhaps Mutas is the way to go. You can see I've built up a lot of Zerglings here. I've expanded plenty of times. And Mort sat back on 2 bases. You know, pretty good defenses here, so it's not like I could run into that with my Zerglings willy-nilly. And this is my first poke in here since I realized he expanded and had a couple cannons, so I thought I would poke in with the with the Muta and see what his defenses look like, and they looked like a little bit too much for me to handle, and I was so right. So running the Mutas away, he gives chase momentarily, but what follows is a crazy back and forth of Zergling versus Blink Stalker, and it almost worked. It almost worked for Mortious, but fortunately I had a lot of larvae and some bad control. I'm able to clean up most of it once the corruptors come in. I'm able to take out the void rays, and of course the stalkers can push the corruptors away, and I lose a lot of overlords because I hate the way they bunch up like that. Oh my god. I don't know how Zerg players keep track of all that crap. But in this particular exchange, he made a good push and it got darn close. But just the ability to produce cheap disposable units like Zerglings here was what was able to, God, I hate that, what was able to keep me in the game. And of course I got one Broodlord out and managed to save him, and here come the corruptors, and man, that was a lot of back and forth. But we are finally, I think, gonna be okay. All those corrupted stalkers, and I don't know why he's sitting on my creep. Why would you do that? Back off the creep, mine. But pretty soon here, I promise. Oh, you sneaky little. Ooh. Pretty soon here, we're gonna see a. Oh, there they go. We're gonna see some cocoons come into play, and once you got the Broodlords, and I believe I've got a bunch of Lings. Yeah, Broodlord Ling, or GG Lords as I like to call them. Every time I'm in a game as Protoss versus a Zerg, and the Mutas and the Lings are out, and I see a couple of Broodlords, I know it's game over. It's game over. I can't do anything about it. And it's not much Mortious can do about it either. Really, I mean, look at the little flyer helpers. But so this game goes to me. It's over here pretty soon. But you know, what did we learn? Well, we learned you can stop a 6, 8, 10 pool with a wall that is many, many layers deep, and all this stuff doesn't really have anything to do with what we were trying to figure out about the game. But you can't just stop playing a game, right? So that was game, I believe, 4. So for game 5, I told Mort that I'm going to roach rush you, and I didn't even roach rush him all that well, but there was some sick roach micro there, if you noticed. He asked me, well, what's different about a roach rush? I'm like, well, it comes later, but a handful of roaches can take out a cannon no problem. So cannoning up is not the best way to deal with it. I told him, you know, sentries blocking your ramp, that kind of thing is going to be important. If you just wall in layers deep, they've got range, so they will be able to knock your buildings down, and you won't be able to do anything about it. And you can see there that roaches got in on him pretty quickly. Score 1 for the bad guys. So of course the next game, Mortious decides he's going to go back to his forge opening with a layers deep wall. He builds 2 cannons. He's only got a small ground army. You can see he of course went void rays again. Too many cannons. He actually popped one of my overlords with a cannon because I let a cannon build onto my overlord. I hate that. There's a void ray. I win. I opened up with a few Zerglings and roaches, and now I'm going banelings because I saw what he was doing with his defenses. But you can see I'm super drone light because of what I had to do, because I went with an early pool and then I went fast to roaches. So these kinds of rushes with Zerg, super heavy on, or take a super heavy hit to your economy. But I've got some banelings out here, and his void ray has found them, and I get in there and I barely do any damage to his with the banelings, but I do manage to bust in and I get some probe kills, and we are gonna kill most of his probes. I'm focusing down the probes even though my units are taking damage, and I managed to bust him up pretty heavy. He's only got a handful of you go, boy. So he gets down to a handful of units, and I mean, he had banked a bunch of money because he didn't make many production facilities. He had more defenses and whatnot. But I busted him up. I busted him up pretty good. He was like a piece of meat hanging on a hook, and I was like, and then this game moves into the next phase. And I hit the wrong button again. So I decided that I would try to go infestors this time because I didn't want to keep using the same strategy, Ling, Muta, whatever, over and over again. So I tried to go infestors, but I did it a little too soon. I did not make nearly enough drones, and he was able to snipe my attempt at a third. You can see 20 minutes. I'm just now going to my third. I've got some infestors, but it's not enough. My economy just never caught up in this game. You can see he's on one base. He made all these void rays on one base, and because he was virtually impenetrable here at the front, and he picked a really good time to come attack me while I was trying to take my third. Mortious gets these void rays in here and actually just starts to crush and takes out my natural. I didn't have many drones to begin with, and he pops them all, and that game goes to Mortious. Very unconventional, but still his game, and good for him. However, I don't really know that this is a sustainable strategy. I just happen to suck with Zerg, but we're not done. So in this next game, I'm playing any strat I want, and you can see that the one I choose is 14 hatch, so it's hatch first. I don't even have a spawning pool yet, and I'm showing you these games in chronological order. They are the order in which we played them. And so after doing some Zergling rushes and doing some roach rushes, and Mortious getting in the habit of building his layers deep walls and lots of cannons, I thought I'm just going to go eco on him. He'll be stuck on one base, and I can get like 5-6 hatcheries up and just crush him with whatever I want, depending on what I see he's doing. Probably void rays, so I'll go spire, whatever. And it turns out he goes forge fast in this game, because we've been watching some YouTube videos together as part of our training regimen. I'm just kidding. We don't have a training regimen. It's to pass time. But so he saw that he saw how that worked in a replay and wanted to give it a try. So here he's doing that. And remember, we're also just doing these like one game, 2 games before we do our 2v2 ladder. And so the strats I'm using against him are usually things we've seen players do to us in 2v2 games. You can see I take a quick third. It's 6 minutes into the game, and I've already got a third. No link speed yet. Just got my extractors. Making drones. I'm doing my TLO impression here. And what happens? I'll tell you what happens. Mortious gets comfortable on 2 bases here. Has a pretty light army. You can see the supplies here are 70 to 113. But he's a little bit saturated and thinks he's going to be okay. When I come in with some Muta harass, you can see he put 3 Stargates down. He was going to try to do Void Rays again, because he was super into his Void Ray phase at this point. But I managed to get in there and get some damage done, get some mining time backed off, and you can see I'm floating a lot of cash. I have really good, let's pause the game, I have what I would consider decent map coverage. I've got an Overlord poking, or floating around at each one of these places to keep an eye. I've got a bunch of Zerglings on the tower, so I know he's on 2 base. I just got a good scout of what he is doing. I saw the gateway, or the Stargates going down. Wow, apparently I haven't poked his natural in a while. I poke him in his natural. And let's look at what he can see. Oh my goodness, he hasn't been over here since I put my spire down. So he's kind of playing blind, and that's got to be a scary feeling, especially after just seeing what he just saw. And I just keep in with the Muta harass. When you get a cloud like this, a few cannons aren't going to bother you. And here comes the Phoenixes. Wow, back out of there. But then I realized, that's not a terrible amount of Phoenixes, and when he's not going to micro them like this, the glaive worms bounce around, And while they change pretty colors, I do manage to get all the Phoenix kills. He pretty much had to do that because he had a lot of Stargates and had to use them. And you know, he's running out of money, so he's got to make the cheaper units. The Void Rays wouldn't have worked, obviously, against the Mutas, because I would just avoid the Void Rays. They would be Void Rays, and I would just fly around them and go attack him where the Void Rays weren't. As you can see, still just waiting on the Lings, and I'm probably, there's the Hive coming in. I wonder how this game's going to end. It ends in true swarm fashion with a bunch of Zerglings on this side, a bunch of Mutalisks on this side, and a bunch of stuff blowing up. God, I hate Zerg. I really hate when Zerg does this. But you know, how you gonna respect, like truly fear and respect what the Zerg are capable of, unless you experience it for yourself? But you know, good on Mort. He's expanding because he needs a new place to mine. But you know, he's not spending his money either. Neither am I, because I suck at Zerg. But here's the Mutalisks again, knocking down the natural, and in true Zerg fashion, we just go take that out. So another game for the bad guys. Ugh. But you can see with the economic build, and that's why the Zerg do it, I was just able to... nice rally point, brah. I was just able to completely start cranking out the larva, and I had plenty of money, and I'm still in game here because we're on Skype and talking to each other. Sometimes I sit in game just to gloat forever, but this time we're actually having a discussion about the game, which is, by the way, awesome, having someone to do that kind of thing with. So we did a couple more of these, and we'll see how they go right now. So after that last game and a few incidences on the 2v2 ladder, we decided that I would actually go Ling Muta on purpose, and Mortious knows this, so he opened Forge Fast again and got a quick second base, and he's trying to see if Mass Phoenix will, with the range upgrade, I believe, yeah, will work against Ling Muta, where he's just choking this and trying to get a bunch of Phoenix out. I've got there, I did a quick economically, I think I did pool first, and then hatch, and now I'm on a third and even getting a fourth into play just now. I wish I could remember to rally my additional hatches. But the Muta Cloud is out and about, and it finds his attempt at a third, and that prompts a confrontation between as many Mutalisks as I've been able to build and as many Phoenixes as he's been able to build. It's a brief confrontation. I decided I would back out because I know he's on 2 and I'm working on being on 4, and if I wait a little longer, I will have even more of an advantage. That was a bunch of Phoenixes. I take half my Mutalisks and try to kill his Phoenixes. There's the other half. Did I lose them all? Did this game not end the way I remember it ending? Okay, Phoenixes can't stop Zerglings, so I run in with the Zerglings. Immortal. I remember now. It was storming this night, and this game ended in a drop. So in our last game, Mortious had been reading Starship Troopers. I didn't say watching Starship Troopers. I said reading Starship Troopers because he's a reader. I don't understand that. So he wanted to play Terran. I'm like, all right, it's apropos then that I kill you with Ling and Roaches. So that's exactly what I did. I just I went pool first into expand Roaches, and I killed him with Ling and Roaches. And that kind of got him over wanting to play Terran as well. So there's a series of games of practice between Mortious and I where I throw common Zerg strategies at him, cheese Zerg strategies, not cheese, but you know, the rushes, the 6 pool, the Roach Rush, and Ling Muta, to kind of get him better acclimated to what the Zerg race is capable of, because we were having problems with Zerg players on the 2v2 ladder. So that was just to kind of stress the importance of ramp management and unit production, making sure your army is big enough to deal with a Zerg swell. And did we learn anything? I don't know.